Good morning, all. Uh, on a national holiday, first wishing the entire countrymen a very happy Fateh Dohas Doham to all of my speakers and to the country as well. Today, we are going to discuss a very short episode we are doing on gentlemen whose exploits we have seen over the years. I was personally there in Eden to watch one of his debut series. And yesterday was his birthday, so we just thought to have a birthday sort of an episode, just an impromptu decision to have it. And it will be a very short and very short one. So I'm joined by Amit and Ayan and Sudeep. Sudeep, of course, will not be able to take part because he's already in another meeting, and Kunal is not able to take part because of another issue. But Kunal would have taken part. So straight off to Amit and then to Ayan. Amit, your first idea impression on Lance Klusener, because that test match in which he took 8 for 64, if you remember, that test match was going India's way with that brilliant 100 from Azhar. But that 8 for 64, I have not seen a better performance, including a Michael Holding and Malcolm Marshall in 83. That 8 for 64 from Klusener using that wind from Eden, which this time also I'm quite wary with that December test match against India. Your first impression of Lance Klusener as a young kid, because you were pretty young when you first saw him. I was in college. And then on to Ayon on the same thing. Over to you, Amit.
Good morning, all. So basically, see, my first impression, or let's say what I heard about Cruiser while he was actually kind of coming into the international circuit, like there is a hard hitter, known as Zulu, coming from KwaZulu Natal, province of South Africa, and he can bowl and bat pretty well. That's what I heard. I think Hansi Cronje was the captain then, and he said something about Lance Cruiser like that. So that was the first impression of, let's say that was the first thing that I heard about Lance Cruiser. In the first innings in the Indian Test match, which you were talking about, I remember Azharuddin hitting him 5 fours consecutively, and he was batting really well, Azhar, during that innings. But what stood out in the second innings, which South Africa eventually won, Klusener though was kind of, let's say, mercilessly plundered by Azhar in the first innings. His mental strength and fortitude actually came into the second innings when he took those 8 for 64. And that actually will always be etched in my memory because India lost that test match despite Azhar's heroics. And I mean, Klusener never looked back after that till I think from 1996 2000 or till 2000. So that's around 2001 2 till Graham Smith was the captain. He stood out both as a batter and as well as a bowler. If you see, he primarily he started as a kind of a fearsome batter, but his bowling was pretty good. I mean, I would rather say he was little underrated because of his explosive batting. If you look closely, he was a very effective bowler, especially in ODIs. If I remember correctly, only his second ODI series against Sri Lanka back in I think 1996 or 7. He took 6 for 49, and it actually gave us a reminder of his early promise with the ball as well. His bowling average also, if you see his statistics, I mean 80 wickets he took overall, so he could have been very dangerous in helpful conditions. Yeah, that's my early memory and kind of overall memory about Zulu.
Thank you so much, Amit. Very well put. Ayan, little of our, I mean, we were a little in the early 20s, both of us. The point which Amit took, was it the captaincy moving from Cronje to Graham Smith that did affect his career? Because in Indian cricket, a lot of careers had affected when Dhoni's captaincy, Dhoni took over the captaincy from Anil Kumble. Do you think, as Amit pointed out, and that is a good question we'll have in this short episode, do you think Graham Smith, because we can see the data also, 2096 to 2001, he played continuously and then just phased out after 2001. And he played one more test match and he was 29 for 30 when he retired. I had to retire because he was not given a chance. So what is your take on the change of captaincy which could have hampered Klusener, and what is your overall take? Because not many people have started their career with such a bang, and back to in a foreign country, Eden Gardens, a hugely strong Indian batting. Of course, Saurav and Lakshman were coming up. Tazar and Sachin with that wonderful 100. So, what do you think was Klusener's problem and undoing that led to a sudden termination of his career?
So I'll start Amit with sorry Rahul with my first evaluation. So Klusner, of course, he started with an explosion, right? Because if you and I think the way he played in that match, that actually sort of summarizes his career as well. If you look at the scorecard of that match, the first innings his bowling was 14 overs 75 runs, six per almost like more than 5 runs and over test matches. 14 over 75 is bad, but second innings, I mean, only Macmillan and him bowled 8 for 64. Remarkable. However, so it shows you that his ability to, perform under pressure, which is particularly a shortcoming of South Africa. Typically, they are branded chokers, especially in one-day cricket. He was one of the people who, I mean, players who really showed a lot of resilience. Okay, so that really manifested itself wonderfully in the Cricket World Cup of '99. So for me, Klusner is as a test bowler, I think he frankly speaking, it didn't really live up to the expectations because 8 for 64 still remains the best career bowling figures. In fact, his performance in South Africa is nothing close to that. He has only one 5 wicket in an innings. I think is in fact in South Africa, I don't think he's even taken 5 wickets once. His best is like 4 for 93 or something. But in one days, especially in the period from 99 to 2001, he was an absolute giant. I mean, can you believe, Rahul, his batting average in the 99 World Cup? Can you take a guess what it was? You cannot believe 9 matches, 140.5. That is Klusner's batting average in the World Cup of 99. His bowling average is 20.6 or something. I really believe that is an incredible performance. I do not think, frankly speaking, there is any cricketer who has even close to such an average in any World Cup. He was dismissed only twice. Of course, he came in later in the order. But even then, if you come later in the order and even you have an average of 141, that is remarkable. And you remember the last over with Donald, right? He took South Africa to victory in the semi-final. And then, of course, Donald, being the classic choker he is, he was almost dismissed of the ball before he was finally dismissed. I mean, of course, yeah, because
I think
he
Klusener
ran.
almost took South Africa to victory.
Right.
Almost.
Yeah, because he hit 2 fours in the first 2 balls. They had 1 run to get off 4 balls.
No
And I don't
balls.
know why Klusner wanted to take a single because he could have smashed, Fleming anyway. Somehow he decided to take 1 run. And then, of course,
And
Donald
and of
almost got
course,
himself run out. He backed up too far. And then the fourth ball, he did not run. It was an easy single.
very
Anyway,
easy.
so this is remarkable. This is one of the most ironic, tragic moments of history because I think Klusner
It was
single-handedly took
extremely
South
tragic.
Africa. Right? Historical, I mean, panicky because he was tough, but he was paired against somebody who was so
The
bad.
form they were in, I think they should have won that World Cup. They
Well,
would have
that
given.
I see, Rahul, that Pakistan team of '99 was one of the best teams they have ever had in one days. You
The
think of
way
it.
they chickened out in the final to
Yeah, that
Australia,
was
the chickening
remarkable.
out was horrible also.
We can have an episode on that. There is a
That's
lot of
correct.
stuff
That's fine. We
behind
can have
that.
an episode. We'll have maybe in future.
That is a very.
But
I
but
think we should
but to
discuss
come back to
Pakistan cricket also.
Klusener, what
Yeah.
happened with
So
Smith, as you
I'll tell
rightly
you.
pointed out,
So it
Amit?
is
Yeah.
remarkable. They actually had a breakfast spat, and it was a public spat to a level that Smith made afterwards a statement to the press. Can you believe that? Saying that Klusner has a disruptive influence on youngsters. I mean, that is remarkable, right? And then he was not given a central contract. Omar Henry didn't give a central contract.
Something which Andrew Strauss did to Kevin Peterson, if you remember, which led
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Peterson
That
also finishing off later.
exactly.
2000,
So South
yeah.
African cricket managing, I don't know. I mean, Smith really had his way, but at the same time, he probably produced the strongest test results that South Africa ever did, and so he made his team, and Klusner was certainly not a part of it. Though Omar Henry, at the time when Klusner was denied his contract, that time he said that because he has had these nagging ankle injuries. So what the official statement was that because he had not recovered fully from the ankle injuries. He was not given the contract. But Klusner was very public about it, directly saying that this is a joke. He even said that I mean, my injuries are not that bad, and I cannot believe how a captain can make a statement like this, which I really found surprising. In fact, I do not find any parallel in Indian cricket as well, on any world cricket, where the captain makes a public statement to the press that this player is, cannot find a team because he has a disruptive influence on youngsters. Of course, South African cricket, really backed Smith because he was given captaincy, and he did do well as well, do well. But then I don't think in the one days they really did. They rose to the heights that Klusener had taken them to 99. That team, I think, Proteas team in 99 as a one day team was much better. For Klusener, I would say a one day giant. He has, and I don't think there are too many batsmen who have played both formats of the game, more than 50 matches, who have a higher one day batting average than tests. He has a batting average of 41 in one days, both batting and bowling. Bowling is 20, I think 29. That is also better. His bowling average in tests is probably 32 or 33. Not that good. In fact, after the Eden test, he really did not reach the heights that probably were expected after such a spectacular debut. But as I said, one day giant, and one of the few batsmen in players in South African cricket of the 2000, prior to this Test World Championship that they won, who did not choke. I don't know whether that single running was a choke, because he may not have run a single. He could have
You're
just
right. I
finished the
mean,
match.
one of the few people whose batting average is lower than his bowling in Test, 32 and
Yes,
38. Very
yes,
surprising for an
yes,
all-rounder.
yes. Yes, he never made an impact after the Eden tour, and then maybe I don't know. Maybe he was more, inclined towards one days, because see, South Africa had a fantastic bowling attack then, and but then in one days he would come at number 6 or number 8 and really make impact. I mean, 99, 2000, he was almost undismissible. If you look at his career
For
records,
me, he was something
huh?
like a Robin Singh. I think Amit would also agree.
No,
Robin Singh
much
in that
bigger
phase, Saurabh
than
Ganguly
that.
used
Yeah,
much
I
better
mean, much
version.
better
But
than
Saurabh
Robin
Ganguly
Singh.
used
Yeah,
Robin Singh in some unbelievable matches.
yes, yes,
The
yes,
Independence
absolutely,
Cup final with Saurabh,
absolutely,
that
absolutely,
99
absolutely.
final.
Fantastic
But Robin Singh was
debut.
utilized. I think the utilization factor, that is
Right.
what we're discussing today
But
mainly.
again,
South Africa
yeah,
couldn't utilize Klusener for this pat or
somewhat.
whatever.
But see,
Yeah.
Rahul, he has two. I mean, one day series, the World Cup there, and I think a later series against, I think, some Carlton United or something, where or a series against New Zealand. Again, his batting average is more than 100. That is remarkable. In fact, I would like to do a search. I do not think there are too many one-day batters who have averaged more than 100 while batting in two series. And in World Cups, so I am almost sure there is no one. 140 batting average and 20.9 or 5, 20, less than 21 bowling average is an absolutely remarkable performance.
The one more important thing, Aman rightly said, the factor was like, when Brian Lara was at his peak, because when he came to bat, you were not sure what was going to happen. If he could take the game away, like
That's
Mahendra
it.
Singh Dhoni at his peak,
And
he used to take the
yeah,
game away
he
because
was
he used to hit so hard.
undismissible. He was undismissible. That time, I thought you could not get Klusner out. Because you think of it, 9 matches he played, he got out twice. That is unbelievable performance. No, is most of it no not out, right? So he was very, very. I think he was a giant in the one days, but they're not a brief period. And then this public spat with the captain. I am not sure whether there are too many parallels in world cricket as well, where the captain goes and makes a press statement saying such derogatory things about a current player.
Yeah, very true. Thanks. Amit, just a little observation back to you. What do you think is Klusner's performance in the years between 99 to 2001? He tapered off, as Ayan rightly said, 96 he had that one match, but then he tapered off. But in 99, 2000, 2001, both in batting and in bowling, he had probably the best. He had 300s in 99, 2000, 2001. And then in bowling also, he had the maximum performance in those 3 years. So what do you think was basically working for? We know that a lot of captains are involved, and probably Cronier gave more support to Klusner. But 99, 2000, 2001, both in ODI and cricket test, Klusner was just above par. So what is your take on those 3 years? And just before the spat with Smith.
I mean, before going into all the statistics, what I personally feel is that Klusner was a very much a confidence player, and Hansi Cronje backed him even in high pressure moments. You remember all the special moments in the 1999 World Cup, right? After Cronier, the management seemed to see him more as a batting finisher, which reduced his kind of effectiveness as a true all-rounder. This is what I feel. And also under Cronier, what I feel, like Kuzma had a very defined kind of a job. Bowl in middle overs, often break partnerships, keep things tight. This was kind of the role. And after Crony is exit, we all have seen what happened with him, right? So this is the first observation. And coming back to your mention, like between 1996 to 2001,
No,
see,
I'm
I
saying
would
96,
always,
96, 96 to 98, he was okay. After that 8 for 64, as Ayan said, he just tapered off badly. But 99 to
yeah,
2001, he had a real 3 good years. So what's your take
yes,
on those
yes.
3 years?
Yeah, see, 1999 World Cup heroics, everyone remembers him. Everyone will remember him for that only. If you see, he was a player of the tournament. Then he scored, I think, around 280 runs with an average, which Ayanda was mentioning, like
Was he
around
the player of the
140.
tournament,
Uh,
99 World Cup?
yes, 99 World Cup, he was the player of the tournament. Yes, yes, yes. He was the player. I searched about it. I mean, it was about to be given to Shane Warne, but Shane Warne was the now match in series final. So award actually went to Klusener. So and it was imperative that Klusener was handed over the this man of the tournament trophy. But anyways, what my point of view was, he scored around 280 runs with an average of close to 141, and a strike rate, if you see in those days, it was around 120 to 123. I was just going to the statistics. Apart from that, he also took 12 wickets in the entire tournament. So his batting heroics, particularly in those tight run chases. I think the match against Sri Lanka, where he scored 22 runs against Vas, and he propelled from 177 to 199 in the last over against Vas, against Sri Lanka. So those kind of matches I remember forever. But again, I mean, I mean, some players are not destined to be all-time greats. Unlike, let's say, someone like Jack Callis, who is always hailed as one of the greatest of all time. Kruger will always kind of, for me, he will remain inspirational, but a tragic symbol. The 99 World Cup semi-final run out, which Ayanda was mentioning, which involved Donald as well. That actually became a part of cricket folklore, right? If you see, we will remember that for the heartbreak. It also immortalized Klusener as a man who nearly carried South Africa to the first World Cup final. Just think about this. I mean, he became a symbol of both South Africa's promise and their near miss cuts in the ICC tournaments. And they since then they have been labeled as chokers for all time. So these are the things that defines Klusener's career. But in short, if I have to tell, Lance Klusener gave South African cricket its first ever genuine World Cup finisher, which they still lack now. I don't see there is any finisher like Zulu in South African cricket still now. Maybe AB de Villiers, you can talk about it, but AB de Villiers is a completely different player as compared to Zulu. And apart from that, he also kind of his career will always be linked with this heartbreak of 1999. Right, his impact made South Africa more competitive and exciting in world cricket. At the same time, this thanks symbol will be always associated with you. This is what I can sum up.
Thank you very much, Amit. Interesting observation. Oyon, uh, Hansi Crony utilized him best at 5, 6, and 7, where he scored his 3 of his hundreds, 6 and 7. Down the order, of course, he was more utilized by Graham Smith. Do you think that Klusener was a better player up the order? Someone like Rishabh Pant, who has been taken ahead of other all-rounders, do you think he was more of a batsman all-rounder or more of a bowling all-rounder? Because he had only 80 wickets to show for. Your take on it.
Certainly, yeah, certainly a batsman all rounder. I think so. I think he was used more in terms of the match situation. And according to the match situation, I mean, if they lost sort of wickets early or something, and they had a lot of, the run rate was sort of piling up or something, then he would be sent earlier. But and see, I think he has actually been underutilized as a batsman, because when I saw him bat in that 99 series, as I said, right, he looked undismissible because he had a pretty compact technique. He was absolutely fearless, and he even had a good technique against spin. I mean, Warren and all, I think he has played comfortably, I guess, right? I don't think, well, there are not too many duels one could see, but I have not really seen a noticeable problem of Klusner against spin because I think his footwork was extremely good and his power was fantastic. I mean, both back foot, front foot, solid power. I mean,
If you remember that
power.
back foot jab, just
Oh my
standing and
goodness.
hitting, that was a
Absolutely.
horrible, awesome jab.
Absolutely. Awesome. I mean, even he generally exuded. See, and I think that analogy you gave about him and Pant, I think I really agree with that. Though I would say that in a pressure situation where you had a run chase, that kind of tight thing where, had limited wickets and a lot of runs to get, I would really trust Klusner more because than Pant because Klusner, I think mentally, I think was more, what should I say, stable or professional than Pant because Pant gets carried away even now. He suddenly would
But the
play a
pyrotechnics that he uses are more of T20 pyrotechnics that he uses in
no,
test
but
matches,
they're
which were not there in
unnecessary
Krishna's
also,
time. You
right?
have to agree.
I know, but then at the same time, Rahul, if see Dhoni was a master in this, right? Because he knew
Correct.
that if there are 8 runs needed in an over, you did not need to have two fours. If one four and two twos is perfect as long as they are not high risk shots. Klusner was of that ilk. Klusner, though I do not know why. In fact, I think because he wanted that, they wanted that one run to win. Somehow he went for that single. I'm sure he still regrets it because I do not know why he did not remember Alan Donald's brilliant display in the Hero Cup semi-final at Eden Gardens, where 4 balls Sachin Tendulkar bowled. He couldn't even touch them, and he was shaking when I was in the ground. The entire Eden was, of course, standing. No one was sitting. We were all standing on those concrete benches, and Donald could not even touch a ball. And the South Africa lost that match because of Donald's absolute fear. And Klusner somehow trusted Donald, and I don't even know the previous ball. Donald had almost got himself run out by backing too far. I think the fielder missed the throw, and then again in the next ball he ran. So, but then at the same time, I think Klusner was a percentage player who did not take undue risks, which is very important. And I for sure feel that he could have done better in the order because I really felt that he had a very, very solid technique. He was not,
Yeah, I think
and
so because his
fearless.
batting. Yeah, he should have been promoted, which he was not because his best came at 6, 7, and 8. I think it was too late
In
for him
fact,
to, as a
if
player,
you
to.
if you really ask me, after those ankle injuries, South Africa could have used him as a batter. I mean, somehow he did not fit into Smith's team. Of course, as a captain, you have the right to choose your team, and very clearly, Smith did not want him in the team. As straight as that.
Absolute. That spat was very ugly. One of the most ugly public spats, which only I said that
Absolutely.
Strauss and Peterson had much later. Do you think finally, Arun, I'll go to Amit and then close off. Do you think South Africa's tremendous bowling was also responsible for him to not bowl that much?
Right.
Well, he could have easily had about 150, 200 test wickets.
I completely agree. I completely agree because they had, Pollock, Sean Pollock was at his youngest, fastest peak then. Donald was very much there. He was, of course, petering
Then
out.
Fanny de
But
Villiers,
yes,
Richard
De
Pringle,
Villiers, no, that was like, that
Pringle,
Anthony came up, right? Makaya
Anthony
Anthony
came up.
came up. Anthony was that time, and I think Anthony was the
No, I
guy.
think
uh,
Anthony came later after Klusener, I
Similar
think.
time, I think similar because I think
Okay.
Klusner's downfall actually coincided with Makaya Antony's rise. I think
Essence,
Antony was one
essence.
of the players who sort of kind of took him up. We can just check that, but I do
Yeah.
feel that Antony started during that time.
I think South
And
Africa always came on as an extraordinary pace heavy,
yes, yes,
very, very
absolutely.
strong pace attack, extremely
I
well,
mean,
which is
see,
there until
somehow
now.
they, as
The-
Amit says, see, those were the days of the classic finishers of one-day cricket, right? Bevan was there in Australia. Another player whom I thought was almost undismissible in one days.
Bevan and
But
Dean
even
Jones, Bevan and Dean Jones, both.
Jones was much earlier. Jones was earlier. Bevan actually coincided right with Klusner, I think, in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, he really coincided with this Klusner.
No, I
And
think that
but then,
to conclude, yeah, Amit,
uh,
Ayan,
yeah.
so what we
But
feel
Bevan
is
again, Rahul, Bevan was not that kind of a destructive hitter as Klusner. No way.
correct. No, he was a finisher. He was a finisher,
Finisher
batting,
was very
batting
sort
with the
of
nothing. Yeah.
percentage. No
Yeah,
high risks, 1-4 needed. He would take like 4 runs, 4 singles. But again,
right.
undismissible, almost like that.
So fair to conclude, Ayan, that Kuzner was himself responsible for his downfall or
No, no, he had
situation.
ankle injuries, but the team did. I mean, come on, if you would not expect a captain to take out a team meeting into the press. I mean, they had a breakfast meeting. I think they fell out, and then Smith went and talked to the press. So he had a sort of, he was hard done. I really think he was hard done by.
Yeah, because
And of
a
course,
career completely destroyed by a particular incident. I mean, very rare in world
absolutely,
cricket.
he
I
never
mean,
played.
happened with Mahendra Ramath also to an extent.
That is the analogy that came to my mind. I was about to say Amarnath, he called selectors the pack of jokers, right? And
That was when he was almost at the finishing his career. But
yeah, yeah, but
Amarnath has been
Klusener
undone.
said
He
the
has been
same.
Amarnath
You
has been
see,
undone number of times
oh
by
yeah,
the
yeah,
selectors and a lot of
of
other
course,
things
of course,
also.
absolutely.
And especially until Bishan Bedi became the captain, he had a lot of 7 years
No,
in exile
even
is too much for a young
I
cricketer.
mean, even after that, right? He was in and out. I mean, after that fantastic performance in Pakistan and Australia, he did
Correct.
badly against the Windies, but did not deserve to be out, like
No, but that
thrown
yes,
out.
the last episode which we were talking, he scored 1 in 5 innings, and
Yeah, yeah,
those
yeah.
type of
That I know.
performance for a top order batsman is difficult to accept.
That
Also,
is true, and
thank
his
you. Yeah,
performance at home is remarkable. Very, very
correct.
low average compared to
So
the
we
top.
conclude on from you is that Klusener was maybe a situational victim of circumstance, and a career which would have flourished much better, and South
As a
Africa did not
batter,
utilize as a batter, and situational advantages also, situational circumstance also didn't allow him to prosper as a batter. Thank you so much,
absolutely.
Ayan. Finally, to Amit, your take on why South Africa could not use him as a batter more up the order, like Pant is being done by, let's be honest, Kohli, by now by Shubman Gill. So why did not South Africa use him as a top batter? And then we'll conclude.
South Africa had a batting lineup in those days. If you
No, but his
remember,
batting, South Africa batting was not as strong as a bowling lineup. South Africa bowling heavy was always a bowling heavy team, not a batting heavy
but
team.
if you see, if you see,
Gary Kirsten
I'm
was
telling
there.
Daryl Cullinan
Daryl Callinan,
was one of
and
their,
Kirsten was there.
and they also had Hansi Cronje up the order. Sometimes he used to play at 4 and then 5. Then Jack
Correct.
Callis, he was
Cronje
just
was there.
emerging.
Callis came in 96-7 India series. The same series as
Yes,
Klusener, I think. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So see, Callis at number 3, Cullinan at number
Correct.
4, 5
Four.
Cronje. How
Right.
don't I mean how they could have pushed him a little up. So that was the reason primarily. And if you see now, I mean, I personally believe that Tony's management skill was pretty good. He was always known for getting the best out of the utility players, and Kuzma was a very much a kind of utility and confidence player.
Absolutely. Cronje's
So
man management was perhaps one of the best. I mean, even given that whatever happened in 2000, I think Hansi Cronje was, in hindsight, one of the best captains the world ever saw. There's no doubt
Not
about it.
one. I mean, for South Africa, best. Absolutely.
Best. So the best in the world, I'm saying one of the
Yeah,
best
yeah, yeah,
they have. The man management thing,
yes,
which Amit said, is extraordinary. He really managed people well.
Bob
Really.
Ulmer, if you see a Bob Ulmer with Hansi Cronje, perhaps one of the best combination of captain coach in the history of Indian cricket. Not Indian, sorry, South African cricket, the world cricket in general as well. So,
Right.
we see before wrapping it up, I mean, I would like to kind of finish off by saying, and let's say I'm putting our fans and subscribers with a dilemma, like they can comment in our chat window, like just think like a fantasy scenario of Klusener's IPL career. Like which team would have been his perfect home? What
True.
would be his
No, which
iconic knock?
Ayan pointed out, that is one day express, which I did not speak at this because we are mainly looking at his test career. I think very true. Klusener was an absolute rebel as far as ODIs were concerned, and who knows, he would have done wonders as a IPL, I mean, a
And
T20 guy as
Sure,
well.
yeah,
sure. Not
this
who
is this is
knows. Sure. I mean,
yeah, Ananda and Rahul, I mean,
deadly.
this is my question to our subscribers and fans.
Yes, nice
Like they
question.
can comment in our chat box. Like I mean, which team would have picked Klusener? What will be
Very
his
true.
kind of
Very true.
prize money or
Absolutely.
purse? What would be his money or what would be the payment? We would love to hear from all our fans and
Yeah, we
subscribers that
definitely. I think the more
going by his
important thing that
aesthetics
came
and
out from a
activity.
short, yeah, the very thing that came out was that South Africa, and Alan pointed out, and you also pointed out, Klusener was a situational circumstance of victim, and I think South Africa were at a loss themselves not to use him properly because his
Absolutely.
record I think again the comparison comes with Ravi Shastri, much limited ability, but Shastri served Indian cricket for a much longer period of time. So I think Klusener could have done much better with a lot of abilities, but
Just one
unfortunately,
comment, just one
yeah,
comment, Rahul. I mean, I think it's a pity that Klusener didn't play T20. It's a pity. I mean, he
exactly.
would
That's what I
have
said.
been
What would have
Absolutely.
Mr.
happened? No one knows. Amit
Destruction.
also said
No, I
Klusener.
mean, come on, he would be destruction. Yeah, I mean, he was
He was destructive with
such
the
a
test
power
batsman.
hitter.
So as a
Yes,
T20, I think he would have destroyed
perfect. The
the world.
game would be perfect for him. Perfect for him. I think
That
thanks,
Absolutely.
is
Amit, for raising
Also,
that.
that
I
was
mean,
the
he would
reason.
be a demon.
That was, yeah, that was point I wanted to mention before wrapping it up. Like, I mean, just imagine Lance Klusener Zulu in this today's T20 leagues. He would have been a monster and a beast
Monster.
in all the team.
Come
absolute
on,
Yeah,
monster
yes.
so
because I
with his
remember every
stance,
time he
like
used to
he
come.
used to pick the bat like this, right? If you remember,
Yeah, his back.
bat
That is
like
what I
a
said. His back straight
Shovel,
gada,
and
like
the
a
and
gada,
shovel,
the back
gada.
and the
Hanuman ji
back
ki
foot
gada.
jab. That back foot jab
Yes.
standing on the
So,
back foot. That hammering
yeah,
out.
so the
He was a
hammering
threat
also,
to
he was a beast. Yeah,
he was a
beast and
threat
threat.
to almost everyone in this world. I mean, whenever Klusener used to bat, I used to think
Gone,
in
gone.
trouble,
Gone.
India in trouble.
Yeah, that
Then
was
India
that,
in
and
trouble.
Said Anwar. Said Anwar was another
yeah,
person
Oh,
I
Saidan to an
feared.
extent also.
he,
But we should
But
do a
he,
cricket
Saidan
he
show,
was
would have
darling.
scored a
methodical.
century. Said Anwar would have scored century against India. He would have played now also, I think.
Oh no,
With
now
one hand.
more. Yeah, yeah, one hand.
Correct,
One
very true.
hand.
Absolute. I think Saidan was more technical. He had a lot of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
finesse.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
much
Yeah,
better player.
yeah.
for
Yeah.
Klusener, I would
Very
say
classy. Very classy.
Klusener was very beastly. Klusener was very beastly, and we were afraid of Klusener. Let's be said that's the effect Klusener had.
Yes, we were
Yeah.
after.
On that note, I would like to thank Amit and Ayan. We had a very short episode on Klusener, and we wanted to highlight on a very sad, I would say, and a very sad victim of circumstance for world cricket, what could have happened and what it was there in our front of our eyes. He could have, I think, it would have definitely played 80 to 85 Test matches and would have a much better record. Would have served world cricket and South African cricket. Uh, and that's the way cricket is. There are a lot of players who don't play as much to their potential, and there are a lot of players who have no potential and go on to play a lot of cricket. So
Exactly.
that is how cricket is, and that's how the cookie crumbles. Thank you so much, Amit and Ayan. On our holiday, we decided to have an introspection on one of the weird and myriad characters of world cricket, Lance Klusener, on his birthday, wishing him well. Thank you so much, all of you, and we
Yeah.
will see you tomorrow for a very, very important podcast. Thank
Yes.
you, and have a good day. Bye bye.
Yes. Have a good day,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye bye.